Are you able to hear us?
Yes, yeah.
Ahsan. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Sheikh. I'll hand over to you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Salaam alaikum to you all, and thank you very much for this opportunity to serve. It's the night of the first of the sacred month of Ramadan, or just a few hours left, or a day left, so that we also are officially the guests of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and an honor is given to us all that we benefit from this sacred month, the month of Allah, which in fact is the month of Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, with all the emphasis that we have, with all the riwayat and the observances that we have. Among them, which is the easiest or the simplest one for every one of us to observe, is to recite 1,000 times Suratul Qadr every day, 1,000 times every day. Now, why 1,000 times and why Suratul Qadr? Suratul Qadr is the surah of Wilaya. It's the surat of Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was in his last years of his life, in his last days, you could say, the two Khalifas, the first and the second, they came to him and they said that the angels, they descend upon you, and that is what the Suratul Qadr says, Laylatulqadri khayrun min alfi shahr tanazzalul malaikatu warruhu fiha. And it's a present continuous tense that is used in Arabic, tanazzalu, that is, they will continue to descend, the angels. The question was, where will they descend after you? Because maut is haqq, and everyone will die, and so the Prophet also will have to taste death. So where will they descend after you, Ya Rasulullah? The Prophet, he asked the question to them again, that where will they descend? Initially they asked, now he asks them. They said, we don't know, Ya Rasulullah. Amir al-Mu'mineen was present in that majlis. He stood, he comes, he puts his two hands on the shoulders of Amir al-Mu'mineen and says, Tanazzalul malaikatu warruhu fiha. The angels will continue to descend, and the Spirit will continue to descend after me, and that is upon the pure heart of Ali alayhi salatu wassalam after me. And after him it is Imam Mujtaba, then Imam Hussein. And today, in this day and age, the angels, they descend upon Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam. So when you recite Suratul Qadr, and that many times every day, means that we are strengthening our bond with Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. Repeatedly we are saying over and over again that we are with you, we are yours, and we are for whatever is to be done, we can carry out, and to us be given all the opportunities and the tawfiqat, which in reality you just recited in this dua, Nutba, 38 times you repeated, 38 times, if you just count them, you repeated Aina al-Hasanu, Aina al-Husayn, Aina abna'u al-Husayn, Salihun ba'da Salih, wa Sadiqun ba'da Sadiq, and then you said Aina as-Sabilu ba'da as-Sabil. Where is that path after those paths? Is it as such that Allah, He sent and showed you a path through Rasulullah, and after the Prophet it's all finished, it's all gone? That is not possible. He has promised that He will guide you. He has created the hell and the heaven for the punishment and reward. And if that punishment and reward is there and the guidance is not there, then that punishment and reward doesn't make any sense. So there has to be a continued guidance all the way through if He wants to reward us and if He wants to punish us. If that guidance it cancels somewhere, or there is no guidance in the meantime, or there is a gap between the guidance, and then that again the hell and the heaven doesn't make any sense. So for that guidance to continue, then you see that hell and heaven also carries weight. أين الخيرة بعد الخيرة. So all these chosen ones that were sent, where are they now? Now all this is being addressed to the Imam alayhi salam. أين الشموس الطالعة أين الأقمار المنيرة. Now you repeat أين 38 times in this beautiful dua. أين صاحب يوم الفتح وناشر راية الهدى. Where is the master of the day of victory and the spreader of the flag of guidance? And that is Imam alayhi salatu wassalam, that every Friday we plead and we ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And throughout this dua, which is dua nujba, it's a lamenting and a pleading and asking Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to return, to send him back. One of these aynas that you just recited, it said أين المضطر الذي يجاب إذا دعا. Where is that distressed who answered when he supplicates? Now, one of the things that we see in the riwayat is that, now this is being reported from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, that on the night, the morning of which Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam will be given the permission to arrive, to start his mission and to move, Imam al-Sadiq, he says that my grandson, that is Imam al-Asr alayhi salam, says on that night he will be in sajda, he will cry so much, he will plead so much, he will recite this أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ, so much that upon the pleading of the Imam, Allah will give him the permission to rise, to move and to appear. So in reality, when you see أَيْنَ الْمُضْطَرُّ الَّذِي يُجَابُ إِذَا دَعَا, so the true mudtar, or the one who is truly in distress or in the state of emergency, or someone who is surrounded with every distress, is Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. So he is the one who is the most muztar today, and he is the one who has to be on the hit list of the du'as that we have, on the topmost list of the du'as that we have. Allah eases his emergence and hastens his return, and that is the dua that we have, and this is dua nutba that we ask. Now when you look into the whole dua nutba, it is a dua of imamats, that is, we want to bond with the Imam. And what is it that bonds us with the Imam? It is obedience. Without obedience, an Imam and a Ma'mum, that connection, that relationship, it will never come into existence. An Imam can be an Imam, and if I am not going to follow him, I'm not going to be obedient to him, then I will not be called as a Ma'mum, that I won't be a following of his. For me to be a follower, I have to accept him as an Imam, and I have to have that total submission to whatever he says, whatever command he gives. And as a result of this obedience, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He gives such a lofty position to this following of the Imam. I'll give you a Hadith al-Qudsi. In that Hadith al-Qudsi, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He says, Abdi ati'ni, my servant, be obedient to me. And then if you be obedient to me, He says that I will make you like me. God is saying that I will make you like me. What do you mean make you like me? He says that I am that mighty Lord, and I have all the ability to bring things into existence. I will give you that might. You will have it. I live forever. I am eternal. I'll give you that eternal life. I am that rich who is never needy. I'll make you rich. You will never be needy as a result of obedience. And you see, in this day and age, the more a person is submitted to Allah Ta'ala, the more respectable he is, the more honored he is. Compared to someone, for example, in this day and age, you see all this a lot. And these sayings of Ma'asumeen, and in particular Rasulullah, you can see them evidently before yourself. Like, for example, one of the quotes says that Man a'ana zaliman sallatahu Allah alayh. Whosoever helps a zalim, an oppressor, you would see him that he will dominate you. You see that today. All these supporters of zalimeen, how that zalim has dominated upon them. He has the upper hand. They cannot flee. On the contrary, Allah says, you be obedient to me, I'll make you like me. Says, Yabna Adam, أنا غني لا أفتقر أطعني فيما أمرتك أجعلك غنيا لا تفتقر. Says, O sons of Adam, I am that rich who is never needy. You be obedient to me and I will make you rich. You will never be needy. يا ابن آدم أنا حي لا أموت أطعني فيما أمرتك أجعلك حيا لا تموت. Says, O sons of Adam, I am that rich, I am that living who never dies. You be obedient to me and I will make you living, you will never die. يا ابن آدم أنا أقول لشيء كن فيكون أطعني فيما أمرتك أجعلك تقول لشيء كن فيكون. Says, O sons of Adam, I say be to a thing and it becomes and it happens. You be obedient to me and I will make you such that you would say be to something and it will become and it will happen for you. That is as a result of obedience. In our deen, obedience comes first. أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. That is, you be obedient to Allah, submit to Him, and that is by that recital of the La ilaha illallah. And then when you submit to Him by saying Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and likewise obedience to the Imamat as a complete package, He says, you be obedient there and I will make you just like me. So ita'at, or that wilayat that we say in that other hadith also from Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam, he says Bunya al-Islam ala khams. Islam is based on 5 things, on salat and then zakat and then hajj and then so and then wal wilaya. And then it says walam yunada bi shay'in kama nudiya bil wilaya. And to none of these 4 from the 5 is this address as strong as it is to this concept of wilaya. Wilaya means accepting the custodianship of ma'asumeen in our day-to-day life. And if you do that and if you submit to it, then Allah says, I'll just give you whatever you want. Now, one of the phrases over here said that you will be able to say be to something and it will become. Marhum Allama Tabatabai, he says that when I was a young student, and in my 20s in Najaf, and my mentor, my ustad was Ayatollah Qazi Tabatabai, that great mystic. He says that I was a young student and I was with him. We were walking to Masjid Kufa, and amidst our route I see a huge snake in front of me. I got scared upon seeing that snake, and it may come and attack us. He says, this ustad of mine, as if nothing is around him, nothing is surrounding him, as if no snake is before him. He says that I was walking with him, I was shaking, and the snake before me, and I didn't have that courage to say anything to my ustad. He says he, amidst his talk with me, he said, Mut bi'iznillah, die by the command of God, and that snake died instantly. He was shaken to see such an incident with his own eyes and the statements that he heard from his Ustad. So that is the might that Allah gives to someone, that life that He gives. Now, many a times we see that these people, these great personalities who've been serving Deen and Islam, they've passed away, but still, despite their departure and their demise, they still have a kind of a hold and a charge that Ma'sumin alayhim salam, they hire these people even after their death. Again, we just mentioned Marhum Allama Tabatabai. He says that in the last years of my stay in Najaf, I was struggling, and I never took any Shahriya, that is the scholarship that is given by the Hawza. I never took any riyal, any dirham from there. My money was being sent from Tabriz in Iran. My dad, he had lands and farms which we had inherited, and they used to send the funds, the money for me and my brother to survive in Najaf from Tabriz. And in those days there was a war between Iran and Iraq, and no money coming from there because it was all cash in hand that was being delivered to them. Says no one traveling, no one bringing any money, and I also had nothing. I had my son who was born and a young wife to look after, no money. So I started borrowing money from here and there, and then when I was too much under the burden of qarz, I started selling my books. And then he says that a time came that I was really hand to mouth, struggling a lot. I opened the door of my house, and the haram of Amirul Mu'mineen was right in front of my house. I stood there and I spoke to Amirul Mu'mineen. I said to him, Ya Ali, this way I cannot study, I cannot focus, and it is not nice that I be invited here to study and I not be taken care of. He says that I just spoke to Amirul Mu'mineen, just a few sentences, a few minutes, and I just closed the door of my house. I wanted to come in, the step down to enter my house. Someone knocked at the door, and I opened the door. There was someone. He gave me an envelope full of money. I was so happy. I didn't even ask who he was and where did he get it for me. And he said, this money is for you, from Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and this will be sufficient for you for the duration of your stay here in Najaf until you return to Tabriz. He says, I was overjoyed. I never asked who that person was. I just took the money and came in my house, and that money was exactly sufficient for the entire duration of my stay. And then when I wrapped up everything in Najaf, and I returned to Tabriz, and it was my habit that twice every week I used to go to the graveyards, to the cemeteries, to visit the mu'mineen, the marhumin. He says, I was walking in one of these graveyards of Tabriz. I come across a grave, a broken grave, and on that grave a name was written, and the date of his burial was written, the date of his demise was written, and that was 300 years ago. And he says that I recalled the name written on that grave, and the name that was written on that envelope that was given to me in Najaf. That was the same name, the same person who is buried here 300 years ago, is someone who carries out the tasks of Ma'asumin alayhim salam even after their death. Mu'mineen are like that. Mu'mineen who are obedient to the Imam alayhi salam, obedient to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and they accept the custodianship of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, the wilayat of Allah and Rasulullah, and the Imams. Their tasks, their affairs, they continue even after their death. And that is what we read in all these du'as, in du'a Ahd, for example, in du'a, in Ziyarat Waris that you recite. You say that Allah make me such that I continue to serve this noble cause of the Imam even if I die, even after my death it should continue. Allahumma in hala بيني وبينه الموت الذي جعلته على عبادك حتما مقضيا, that even after my death, which is destined, which is certain, and you raise me from my grave, you keep me alive, you resurrect me, and you keep me on track and in the service of the Imam alayhi salam. That is the dua that every one of us should be asking and wanting from Allah wa ta'ala in this day and age, to be on track and with the Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. And 38 times you ask that. Now when you look back into the, now all this dua that we have been reciting is, Imam, when will you come? Allah hasten his return. Allah send him back. And we say that Allah, this year also, make it as such, be the last year that we are observing in ghaibat, and the next year be with him and we be in his service. Now we are doing all these du'as, saying everything. And if we come and see that this dua doesn't materialize for whatever hikmat, for whatever maslahat, for whatever reason, Allah, He doesn't send. So what does it mean that people, what should they do then? All that optimism, that hope, that umeed that was generated, was given to everyone. Does it mean that it was all a waste? Everyone has to go back to their heels? No. What we did was right. What we are doing is right. This waiting for the Imam gives us energy, gives us hope, gives us optimism that there is light. And when you are after light, you will perform better. When we look back also in the seerah of the ashab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa wasallam, in the battle of Uhud, Muslims, they sustained a lot of loss. So many shuhada were there. One of the Jews, he comes and he starts mocking at Ammar and one of the other Sahabis with him. He says to him that, was it not you? You were saying that victory is yours, you will win. How come this has happened that you lost and so many shuhada, the best of your people have been killed? Now that Sahabi was weak. He says to that Jew that, I don't want to argue with you, I don't want to have a debate with you, because no matter what I say, you guys will just create confusion and doubts in our minds, and I just don't want to talk to you. Ammar said, but I want to, and I will speak to you, and I will reply. And the reply is that we saw this blow or such a big loss, so many shuhada and the best of them killed. It was as a result of lack of obedience to Rasulullah. He told us to stay on that cliff, not to move from that valley. No matter what happens, you shouldn't move. We disobeyed him, as a result of which we saw this loss. We sustained this blow. So many were killed. And then he silenced that man, that Jew. Now this message was given to Rasulullah, that this is what happened. We encountered a Jew, a Yehudi, and this is what he said. He was quiet, and Ammar, answered as such. Rasulullah says this answer that he gave, how staunch and brave he stood, and he said that it was as a result of disobedience to Rasulullah we sustained this loss. For that statement of his, he gets the reward of a jihad fi sabilillah. So in our deen, it is obedience that matters. Now if you look back into the seerah of Amirul Mu'mineen and Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, in the battle of Uhud, Amirul Mu'mineen also was heavily wounded. And here they say that about 90 wounds upon the pure body of Amirul Mu'mineen. And Hazrat Zahra alayha salam, she comes to look after and to treat Amirul Mu'mineen, to heal him, to apply medication. She says that the wounds were so many and excessive that for me to apply balm and this medication to every wound, it wasn't possible. So what I did is that I spread out a sheet, and all that balm, the medication, was in that sheet, and I made Ali roll in that sheet so that the medication is applied to the entire body of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He was in such a bad shape. And there Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, what she says to Amir al-Mu'mineen, says that, Ya Ali, I will compensate. You stood in support of your Imam, and that is the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You supported him with all your might. I promise, Ali, that I will stand by you, just like you stood by your Imam. I will stand by you, and then you are my Imam. And she also fulfilled that promise, that not soon after the demise of Rasulullah, here when those Mala'in, they come, and they say that وَمُجَمَّعٍ حَطَبٌ عَلَى الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي لَمْ يَجْتَمِعْ لَوْلَا شَمْلُ الدِّينِ وَالدَّاخِلِينَ عَلَى الْبَتُولَةِ بَيْتَهَا والمسقطين لها أعز جنيني والقائدين إمامهم بجناده والطهر تدعو خلفهم برنيني خل ابن عمي أو لأكشف للدعاء رأسي وأشكو للإله شجوني. That here Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, when that door was hit and when she was attacked by those Mala'in, she stands in support of Amir al-Mu'mineen. She takes all that pain, all that burden upon her. And there she had said that, Ya Ali, khayruka khayri wa sharruka sharri. Says Ali, all the good that you are seeing, or in all these circumstances that you are in well-being, I am with you, that's mine. And the evil that will befall upon you, or that misfortune that will come towards you, in that also I am with you. I am with you, Ya Ali, in all circumstances. And here Amir al-Mu'mineen says that when I was washing the pure body of Zahra salamullahi alayha, and I saw the wounded arm, and I just found out that when I wanted to confide and when I was grief-stricken, I came to Zahra and I shared my sorrow and my grief with her. But she never shared her pains with me, that she had the pains she was going through, and she took the pains, and how that loyalty of Hazrat Fatima alayha salam was portrayed to her Imam of her time, as her Imam was obedient to the Imam of his time, and that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this obedience plays the most important role in our life, and may Allah make us among the most obedient servants of His, and those who are obedient to the Imam, and those who seek shahadat in the way and the noble cause of the Imam. اللهم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان وجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. Thank you.